everyone, and welcome to All Things Grace podcast. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Majors. I'm here with Sanura Dean. Today we're talking about breaking free, shedding toxicity for radical rebirth. We're talking about letting go and shedding some of that old gunk. And those could be people, that could be jobs, could be a lot of things. But how do we have a radical rebirth where we can really step into creation and step into who we are and rebirth ourselves into a new vision? So Sanura Dean is the CEO and founder of founder, empowerment coach, and speaker at Unstoppable You LLC. I just love that name, Sanura. I just got to say that inner marketing person in me is kind of hating that I didn't have that for myself. So anyway, and we're going to be talking about the journey, her journey of letting go of toxic influences. Just wanted to hear a little bit more. I know that you've had a lot of changes since we've last connected. So what are some of those changes? What have you let go of, and what have you now embraced in this new iteration of who you are? So I am super excited to hear a little bit more about Unstoppable You, how that's going, and how are you helping people in your business? And then we can hop right into some of the deeper questions related to the show.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a little bit of time since we've been together, but I'm so blessed to have the opportunity to come and share with you and to see you and to say hello. Oh my goodness, that is such a big question when we talk about what have I had to let go to be this iteration of who I am. So many things, we don't stop having to let things go. So it's a continual thing between jobs that I've had to let go, positions in church that I've had to let go, friendships that I've had to let go, ill feelings towards people, ill feelings towards myself. So many different things that come into play when you're making room for growth. So it's been definitely a journey. Like you were just saying, we've been through a whole pandemic since the last time we've talked. So there's definitely been a lot of changes in mindset, changes in just things that the different areas of life to become this iteration of myself. And it is through those changes that and also allowing myself to feel in order to heal some places in my life so that I can grow.
Yeah. So, go ahead. Were you finished?
Oh no, I was like, I don't think I answered your second question about Unstoppable You. We just wrapped up the Unstoppable Academy, which is a 2-month mentorship program, empowerment program for women, and it was so amazing to see the women do that transition in their journey as they were becoming new, having their own rebirths in so many different ways. And, we just saw God move in so many different ways. And so it's been fun. We're going to get ready to ramp up a new cohort soon here. And so if you listen to this podcast and you're interested and you want to have some mentorship to be able to hold your hand while you go through the rebirth, right? Because iron sharpens iron. And when we have people that have done it before, it's a little bit easier on us as we're going through. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, we've been mentoring, coaching, and ministering. So that's what we've been up to.
Wow. Well, that's really great. I remember when I had my girls' camp and they loved them some Miss Sanura. And so I really, really, I know for anybody who's thinking about wanting an environment where you can be held in a sisterhood, with no judgment, it can be your whole self, and you can dream big, and you can vision big, and you can still sometimes feel small, whatever it is that you can bring your full self and connect with Sanura and team for it. I would like to know more about it. I have been off social media for so long, and now I'm back on social media. So I'm like, oh, wow, look what people have been up to while I've been out of, just not on social media. So let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that you made over since I've seen you. So the last camp I did, I want to say was 2015. So, or yeah, it was 2014 or 15, maybe 16. And so here we are, almost about 10 years later. So, what have been some of the changes that you've made in your life that are related to your breaking free?
There was a season, probably about 2 years, where um, I was going through what I call like the onion, where God was peeling back the layers. And actually, what I do every year is I seek God for what He has for me for the next year. And the
Uh-huh.
Lord told me that He was going to bring me through a journey of healing in order for me to be able to help to heal other people.
Mm.
I understood that, but I didn't actually know what I was like, because I'm like, yes, God, so excited about it. And then in the middle, I'm like, what are you doing to me? But we have to feel in order to heal. We have to let those things come up and out, and be able to give those things to God so that we can grow into that person that we were created to be. And so there was a season where, I mean, it was going back to childhood, like even like in utero, because I was doing some inner healing work and things like that. And it was definitely a process. But through that process, even though, I had to feel the pain again, even though I had to revisit some of the things that, that we stuff down because we don't want to feel those things, it was so, I feel so free. I
Mm.
In that time period, I actually got an opportunity to do some mission work in Mozambique in South Africa. And through that process, I had done ancestry,
Mm.
uh, and found out that my roots are from Mozambique, and so that trip was so vital to the healing process.
Yeah.
It I've When I came back, I literally felt like I've never been my whole self until I like made that journey. It was like almost a full circle type of experience. And
Mhm.
so that was a major part of my healing process, from divorce and friendship betrayals and failures and disappointments and things not going my way, and all these things that create trauma and toxicity in our lives.
Yeah.
And when we don't actually address those things, that's when it becomes toxic, right? So
Mhm.
we have to look at those things and be willing to feel and give way to, and room to heal so that we can grow.
Yeah. So you said a lot there. Is that my feedback? That's probably me again. Sorry. Um, you don't hear it. Okay, good. Um, you said a lot, and one of the things is about really confronting and acknowledging this is where I am. This is the truth and the reality. A lot of times people don't want, they want to get to the healing without doing the revealing,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, people excited about the healing part, the revealing part, not so much. And you have to reveal it to heal it. I say that in my work. That's dang near my tagline. You have to reveal it in order to heal it and to be able to now deal with it. And
Mhm.
so, was there a moment? Was there like a, oh my God, was it Mozambique? What was that defining process like? And what was it like to admit and acknowledge to yourself, whoa, I'm here and I have to now confront and make peace with all that I've been. What was that?
Okay. So yeah, there was a moment where I was in I'll say a situationship, and it was kind of ending. Things were ending. Well, I knew that I needed to end the relationship with this person, and I'm like praying about it, and I'm like, the Holy Spirit asked me, "Do you love yourself?"
Mm,
Me with my pride, I'm like, "Of course I love myself."
mm,
And so it was this thing where the Holy Spirit was literally like, okay, if you love yourself, then why did you allow this person to do this? Why did you allow this person to do this? Why did you allow this person to do this? These things are not something that is conducive of somebody that actually has self-worth, value, and loves themselves.
Oh boy.
It was a gut punch.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, whoa, that was strong. But guess what? I had to sit with it.
Yeah, that's right.
I literally had to face it because it's
Yeah.
not like it wasn't true.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what was it in me that I was allowing somebody to treat me with these toxic behaviors?
Yeah.
What was it in me that I was not valuing myself enough to say no?
Yeah.
Or what was it in me that I was compromising who I am towards this person? So at that point, I'm like, okay, stop. The press is like everything hold, and I need to be okay with feeling and revealing, right, and acknowledging that, okay, I'm here. Now what?
Mhm. Mhm. So I'm thinking about the person who's like, oh, I envy you. I wish I could leave. I wish I could walk away. I wish I could break free of this toxic situation. It could be financial concerns. It could be abuse. It could be a job that, it could be anything. But in my time on this planet, one of the things that I know for me is that there's nothing worse than being in a situation that you know is not right for you, but you
Mm-hmm.
stay. You have to stay. You stay because of all of these considerations. But being in a situation that I know in my bones, this person is not an alignment with where I'm going, with who I am, with, you know, what I know to be right and true of how I should be treated.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, couldn't, didn't leave. So what would you say to that person who's in that place, who's like, I know I should, but I can't?
I would say you won't leave until you are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Mm, yeah. Because in every time I was like, not 1 second more. Like I was every time I've walked away, and I'm kind of, part of my learning is that it doesn't have to wait till you get to that point,
Right,
right? But most of us are motivated by pain and not by possibility,
right.
not by a vision. We're motivated by, ooh, this hurts too bad. I'm out. So what you're saying is, hey, until you get to the point where it just hurts too bad, you're not going to leave anyway.
Because there's always going to be an excuse.
Uh, uh-huh.
There's always a way out. There's always the door. You're not, unless it's a physical thing, and then that's something a lot deeper.
Mhm.
But there's always a way out. We just make up an excuse as to why we can't leave.
But do you believe, I'll ask you this. Do you believe that this thing called choice, that people just don't relate to themselves as people with a choice? Or what do you think is the whole issue around people not choosing something better?
It took me to get delivered from people in order to value my choice. It took me to get delivered from what people might think, what people might say, what people might do because of a decision that I made. Like, I think that a lot of people, and in my experience with clients and even in my own life, just value other people more than they value themselves,
Huh.
which is really interesting
Yeah.
because nobody would admit that,
Nobody would admit that.
right?
No, no,
But I
no.
just think that um,
Hmm.
when you value yourself, and I know this because bringing it back to that relationship I had, so I got out of that situation, but I actually stayed friends with that person who continued to try to do certain things that were not like a friendship level. But I had found my self worth. So then now I was able to voice, like, I knew what I wanted, and what I wanted was to be treated with value, to be treated with respect, and things like that. And so my choice was to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, because trust me, with this person, it was a back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
Before, I would be like, no, but then I would still do it.
Yeah.
But when I finally found my self-worth and the love for myself,
That's right.
you know, loving myself as God loves me, like allowing God to set the standard of love because He is love,
Mhm.
then it was so easy to just be like, nope,
Mm.
sorry. I mean, easy.
Wow. So I was saying that the other day. When you know, it was a negotiating class I took, and they were talking about negotiating, and they said when you know your value and when you know your values, negotiation is like this. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what I am, take it or leave it. Like this, right? So the negotiation, and yeah, you can wiggle, but the key is to walk away with your value and your values still intact, right? So I love what you're saying about it was easy once you figured out, oh, and you were clear, you had markers to you were like, this is how I want to feel. This is how I want to be treated. So once you have the rules, all you need to do is look at the list of how you actually being treated, right? It seems so simple, but I think the simplicity comes from that decision, like
Mm-hmm.
making the decision in your body as a truth, right? So can you describe a little bit to me, like the type of person Sanura was in the relationship, like how you were to yourself, how you made decisions, how you felt, what your self experience was versus now, how do you feel you move in the planet? How do you feel that you interact? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that's really coming to my mind right now was compromise.
Mm,
Compromising myself, compromising my values, compromising my what I know to be right and true um, in the relationship because I wanted to be loved,
that's right.
because I wanted to belong, which is a lot of times what happens in people because we have an innate desire to want to belong and to fit in and to be loved. So it was the compromise, and then once you compromise, then it leads to so many different ways, so many different things that you're doing things outside of the things that you would do, right? And
Yeah.
so you're no longer yourself. You're just functioning in this thing, and your things are happening. But when you compromise, you release your power,
Mm-hmm.
and so now with no longer having power, it's kind of like just go with the flow. Anything goes, right? So,
Right.
but now as I've found my self worth and the love for myself, I don't release my power. I move in power.
Oof.
So it's if I'm in a relationship, it's like, and that's any kind of relationship, business relationship, uh, romantic relationship, friendship. It's this is how I am. This is, and if you want to be in a relationship, this is what I require and this is what I expect. If you don't feel like be you don't feel like you want to take the responsibility to maintain those expectations and to be my friend, I'm okay with that. We don't need to. I mean, we can part ways and be blessed, on our way. It's not to be mean or anything like that, because I love everybody, but I just know that I know how God loves me, and there I require a certain level of respect, understanding, communication, trust, all these values. I require that in order for someone to be in a relationship with me. And if you can't do that, I'm sorry, I love you, but I have to distance myself from you. I'll love you from a distance, but you can no longer be in my circle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I just think about back to when I was in a relationship that I needed to break free from, the idea of how they would feel about me, and part of, and I want to add a nuance here.
Hmm.
There are many people in these relationships that they don't have the language or the technical knowledge, which was my case, to understand they're with a narcissist. And
Yeah.
a narcissist, their whole job is to destabilize you. Their whole job is to make you question everything you think, everything you feel, all of your moves, just everything is all about them. And in order to make it about them, they need you to rely on them for validation and rely on them for approval of you.
Hmm.
So turn outward, you turn away, and there's an isolation piece where they take you away from your people who breathe life into you. And so now that you're isolated, you only have that one voice, right? Is a whole thing. So I wanted to acknowledge for folks who like, wow, that seems so easy. When you're with somebody with a narcissist, and I was one of them, it took me, that was when I started like counseling, because I didn't have the language to know what was happening to me. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that I wasn't enough. I'm not enough. Ain't gonna ever be enough. I don't know what happened. I got this doctorate. I should be feeling this way, but I feel this way. Like all of these things that I couldn't make sense of. And
Mm-hmm.
so there is a reality that that could be the case.
Yeah.
And even still, please listen to the language that we're using. Please listen to what we're saying. This is about no longer turning outward for approval, but turning in. And I think that was the heart of what you're saying, Sanura, that you decided to create your own ground rules of how you're going to be treated based on the relationship that you have with God,
Yeah.
right? And so saying all that was, of course, we're still evolving, but what was the I think I kind of asked you this already, but what I'm trying to look at here is for somebody who's listening, who's saying, how do I find myself? Right. And so can you pick that apart a little bit more for somebody who is in a situation that may be toxic? It could be a job, it could be other things.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you start to find yourself and love yourself?
Well, first you have to find God.
Mm,
You have to find God. Um, when you seek God and get to know His attributes, because He's the Creator. He's created you.
mhm,
So you seek God to find His attributes, and then He will begin to reveal you to you.
mhm.
And once He starts revealing you to you, then and only then can you reveal yourself to other people in relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't go to the source, how do we know if we're not going to the source? So it's a foundation for me with finding your place in God and finding out exactly who He is. How did He create you? Who does He say that you are? You
Mm,
know, how does He say that you're to be loved? How does He say that you're to think? How does He say that you're to talk? What are the standards that He set for you for your life?
mhm.
So it begins with a relationship with God.
Hmm. I want to be a voice or provide some voice
Hmm.
for folks who feel like, and this is real people that have said this to me, like, God don't want no parts of me. Like they feel so deeply flawed and so deeply broken
Hmm.
that the idea of having a relationship with God, my thought is that's the first place you go, because that's an endless well of forgiveness and grace and and peace and all of that, right? That's my reality and my truth. But I also believe that there are folks who feel so broken
Hmm.
that even starting there, it just seems, like so far removed from what they even deserve, or what the type of what do you call it, when you redemption, the type
Hmm.
of redemption they feel they need,
Yeah.
like is bigger or something than God, or can't be accessed or something.
Hmm.
Is that making sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect. I mean, yeah. I mean, first of all, let me just say, like, I have not always been at the place that I am right now. There was a time that I didn't even, so for reference, I was adopted when I was 3 months old. And I remember as an 8-year old sitting in my room thinking that I was trash because my mom threw me away,
Mhm.
and that there was no way that anybody could possibly love me, and that furthermore there was no one that was blood related to me in all of the planet.
Mm.
So these are the thoughts of an 8-year old.
Wow.
I didn't think that God loved me. I didn't think that, I could have a relationship with God. I didn't think that why would God want me if my own mother threw me away? These are the things that I was thinking in my head. But what I want to say to those that might be struggling or just might be in such a place of brokenness is that God is as close as a whisper to you. He
Mm.
is so close to you, and He is so grieved by your brokenness, and He wants to get to know you right where you are. He wants to take away that hurt, that pain, those burdens, the image that you have about yourself, because He made you fearfully and wonderfully.
Yeah.
And it literally is a whisper. God is so close to you. He's just waiting for you to call His name. And
Mm.
so it doesn't have to be any form or fashion. It's not about, oh, I gotta hop up and go to a church. You literally can call on God sitting in your home, in your car, at your desk at work. Just a small little whisper, and He's there.
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage anybody that's listening that is feeling so isolated, that God is with you and He loves you so much.
Yeah. I remember, thinking about that toxic relationship that I was in. And I remember, you remember how earlier we were saying how it's simple once you've made up your mind,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to take action because you're clear in your body. And I remember being in that relationship and I didn't feel 100% done. I
Mm-hmm.
just felt 100% this ain't right. And I wasn't even at the place where I deserve so much better. But for me, for I was ready for the help to move on. Because a lot of times you don't even want the help.
Yeah.
You're just sitting in it and you just feel like this is my reality. Oh well. But I was like, I'm ready for the help. And I remember I was sitting in I was sitting down in the shower and I said two words, and that was, I'm ready. And I said it thinking, oh, this is going to be a transit, like I'm ready to start doing but when I said it, I felt it in my body and I knew something was going to happen because in my body, I was like, I'm ready. But I honestly wasn't like, I'm out. It didn't feel like that. It
Mm-hmm.
felt like I'm ready it was a softer, more,
Yeah.
I'm ready. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know when it's gonna, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that was enough. That was the beginning. And I mean within hours. I was like, whoa, oh, so they ended up getting into some trouble and had to go. Okay. Right? Like they ended up getting into some legal stuff and they were like, I'm going to run instead of face, these poor decisions that I made. So, and that was like hours. And so I can't say that I was in a place of that, but I do know that you extend this much and God will be like, that's all I needed. Thanks. Now I can get to work.
Yeah. You just
Because
need
life on the fence is like, you can't activate God. You can't, you got to commit to something or the other. But when you're on that fence, it's like, it's hard. I think you kind of have to be on one side or the other
yeah.
to see the rush in the way, right? And so I think, as we're talking and we're talking about a radical rebirth now, we've talked about like shedding the toxicity and trying to find our self-worth and like really asking ourselves those tough questions about who am I, what do I want, what do I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
who's going to be there with me in this journey. The other part now is the radical rebirth and what it feels like to be free. And I asked somebody, Vivian Phillips, on one of my other podcasts. She's amazing, and I said, "You always seem like you're just free." And she said, well, I'm liberated. Liberation is different than freedom. Freedom is for her. She was saying that freedom for her was about in relationship to something else, right? Like your freedom is based on not being jailed or not being, that was kind of how and not just technical freedom, but you know what I mean. Like it's in relationship to an external force. Liberation is a psychology, it's a consciousness. And when you're walking around liberated, that's a whole other way to walk. And I feel like, that resonated with me. I know what it feels to be liberated. I know that I am now liberated in just about every sense of the word that I can think of. Do I want more stuff? Sure. Do I want my business to be? Yeah. But really liberated is I get to walk the planet fully who I am. And I'm not tethered to anyone giving me their stamp of approval, you
Yeah.
know. So what is your so that's kind of how I think about radical rebirth. What are your thoughts about liberation and radical rebirth in your as it relates to your journey?
Yeah. I really like that differentiation. That's resonate. I'm getting happy thinking about it. But yeah, so with liberation, I think comes rebirth. Like
Mm,
when you step into the liberation, there's a rebirth. It's kind of like I'm seeing like a picture of a butterfly when the butterfly comes out of that cocoon.
huh,
It's now liberated with all of its beautiful colors, every facet, shade, color. It's shed that old, old wineskin or old shell of its old self. It's actually literally rebirthed into another form and shape.
mhm.
And so, you know, it's kind of hard to describe liberation because it is such a psychology. But I actually can feel it in my body too.
Mhm.
You feel that liberation in your body. What's coming to my mind is when my kids, they're like, "Mom, what are you wearing?" I'm like, "I'm okay with me." Like, hey, if you got a problem with it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's kind of been my thing. It's like I'm literally okay with me.
yeah,
There was times in my life where I wasn't okay with me, and I felt like I had to do this to be, accepted, or be the status quo or live up to some standard. But I'm literally okay, finally able to say I'm okay with me,
yeah,
and I trust my decision making. I trust that I can make a decision
yeah,
and move forward in my life. And if I make a wrong turn, God will let me know. He'll correct me,
yeah,
and I keep on going.
yeah,
But it's that place where you're literally okay with who you are. You're okay with you. You don't have any um, doubts, or you don't have any second guessing
yeah,
going on, because you're just who you are and you're able to move in it.
yeah, yeah. I I can't think of a better way to kind of think through and think about like what it is to be liberated. And that is I'm okay with me. I am okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can I tell you all of my 20s, all of my 30s, most of my 40s was about, are you okay with me? Is everybody okay with me? Even though I was accomplished, and people look and go, no, she's people, and people would be surprised. And I'm like, I don't, should I do that? Like doubt,
Right.
right? And am I enough? That was real. That's real. Like, am I enough? Can I do this? Am I the one that's here? Is this assignment my assignment? Because I have way too many questions about what's what. When you do DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion work,
Mm-hmm.
and you're talking to a room full of people, have with many of who are forced to be there, many who don't even believe any kind of racism or oppression exists on the planet, and that others who are just mad that they have to talk about in these technical terms things that they live in and day out. Now I got to go sit in a training and watch people fumble around with concepts that I live and breathe every day.
Mm-hmm.
If I am not sure about who I am, honey, it's just bad for everyone. And I know that I can disrupt spaces pretty easy given that level of heightened anxiety and frustration, right? This work is what's helped me kind of go, hey, show up, do your best. I'm okay with me. I walk out every time, I'm okay, you know. Do I say things I wish I would have done differently every now and then? Sure. Oh, I wish I would have said that. But for the most part, this body of work is what's helped me get to that place where I'm okay with me. I'm assuming with you, it's just been your journey overall that's gotten you to this place of I'm okay with me, or is there part of what you do or anything else to add to what got you here?
Well, I think we're always evolving, right? Every single day, we're going from what the Bible says, glory to glory. God takes us.
Mhm.
So definitely, my journey has been a huge part of, being able to be at this place of rebirth and liberation. My relationship with God is number one, of course, and then the work that I do with women has really um, taught me a lot, you know, and it's gotten me. I get to see, other people's journeys, and sometimes people come up with things, and I'm like, wait, how do I feel about that in my own life? It's
Uh-huh.
kind of, I get
Uh-huh.
to check myself against, some other questions that some of my clients are asking themselves and things like that. So I think the work also does help to bring about the evolution. But
Mhm.
also, I don't believe that we just are rebirthed and like we're arrived, but I think there's a rebirth going on continuously day after day. You're
Mm.
continuously being rebirthed, and you're continuously being taken into new levels of liberation and new levels of thinking and ideology around what it means to be liberated
Yeah.
and free, and to be who you are. So I think all of it, um, including therapy, the therapy that I have gone through. I want to definitely say that because I haven't just arrived here. Like
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work. Even my work with my transformational life coaching certificate was a pivotal part because we had to go through all of the things that all of the techniques we use with our clients. We have to do that work ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's been like this package deal that God has put together in order to get me to this place.
Yeah. Oh, that is great. Well,
Mhm.
one final question. I asked everyone this question, Sonora, so you're welcome.
Mhm.
Um, on a scale from 1 to 10,
Okay.
1 is I think I've been given the wrong life. I don't want this one. I want to just call it and start over and get another one. 10 is I cannot imagine a more amazing life. Like, God, this is my life. Oh my God, I cannot imagine anything better. So, and it's not just, oh, my business is this, I want one number for your
Mhm.
total life. And if it's not a 10, do you know what would make it a 10?
I would say it's a 10. Even considering what all the stuff that we just talked about, and all the trials and tribulations, because I would not be the woman that I am today without every ounce of pain, every tear, every frustration. I mean, my life is amazing. I'm so blessed. And I'm blessed that I have gone through the things that I've gone through that I can be able to help somebody else. So I would definitely say my life is amazing. Do I always feel that way every day? No, probably not.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that I would not trade this life for anything in the world.
Mm, we're going to end right there. Sonora, thank you so much. I will make sure to put all your stuff on YouTube and on the posting so that we can find you and find out more about what is it called? The Unstoppable You LLC. And is there anything you want to say about? You did mention there was something that was coming up, right? Or
Yeah, so I have a group coming up called Beloved, and it's all about addressing your fears so that you can walk in purpose. And then there's also the Unstoppable Academy, which is a mentorship program. So I have that. And all of these things are on SanuradDean.com, or you can go to Sanura X Dean on Facebook or Instagram and direct message me. And I would love to be able to chat with you.
awesome, Sonora. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please click the small bell and become a subscriber and join me in spreading the message of grace.